red light. There you
We're
go.
rolling.
Red light.
Rolling.
Oh man, that's almost perfect.
Perfect.
That is almost perfect.
Hold on, let's start. Let's just start start off proper here. Close some windows. It is January 4th, 3:09 p.m. Podcast episode 8, 9.
I think 9.
9. Check it out. New shirt.
Number 9.
You guys can't see it. It's really nice. It's silver and blue or silver and red. It says always on it.
This is going to be that kind of podcast.
I'm standing here freezing for you guys. What?
It's 47 degrees in the bunker.
Now that I've shown you that, I can put on my parka.
Parka for
All right,
the freeze.
Come on in here.
You want to close the door?
Yeah, let's heat the area up. We weren't sure what we were going to talk about today, so we're just like, hey, go grab 6 items, Jeff, that I don't know what they are, and you just pull them out of a bag, and we'll talk about them, and I'll do the same. So we have a bag full of stuff that I don't know what Jeff has here yet.
Can't see it.
I see something red in there.
Oh, is there? Yeah, there's a
Katanica jacket, by the way. Katanica Mark 6.
I'm not sure.
Katanica. If you guys don't know, go check out Katanica. They do not sponsor us. They don't.
No, they definitely don't sponsor.
Actually, they did send this for Christmas. They sent me this jacket, but we have bought 100 pairs of shorts.
You've bought.
We buy every time they drop a new color of short. I buy it for all the guys. So really love their product. Believe in their stuff. U.S. made. Awesome dudes. So check them out. And now is a great time to buy shorts from them because when it's short weather, that shit will be sold out. So if you're lucky enough to have your size, now would be a good time. All right. And what?
I don't know.
Go.
What? Oh, okay, first thing. Let's see. Let's go with this because I don't think people know about this.
L-Pack.
L-Pack.
Low profile aid kit.
Low profile aid kit.
Holds medical stuff. 2 tourniquets. Holds chest seal, 2-pack of chest seals, quick clot, bandages, and it is low profile. It is made to go, the thought was, back of armor, so that you could still get in a vehicle and drive, and not have that big fucking gnarly IFAC or even a compact tear-off. Like, you could run a compact tear-off horizontal. A lot of guys want to run them horizontal. But for, you kind of got to clock it, or you just have to be used to sitting on a ton of shit. Like, I'm sure it was kind of a shock to you the first time you loaded up, like, full combat load and had to drive. Were you driving places?
So the problem with driving places, and I'm sure it is still this way in the Humvees, is you have that fucking Blue Force tracker. They probably call it something else now, but the whole commander suite that's in the driver's seat area. So there wasn't a lot of room. You know, when they designed the Humvee, they really designed it for a dude in camis. They did not design it for anybody wearing any type of equipment whatsoever. But since you have to be in your armor all the time, you have to climb into that vehicle with all that shit on there, and it's actually comical how you got to fucking grease yourself up to get in there. I don't know if any piece of equipment would have changed that at all, because it's just, you have too much shit as it is. I mean, especially when I had initially when I had an M16A4, there was no way in a up armored Humvee, there was no way, backseat or front seat, that I was using that M16A4 from the vehicle. Like, I would literally have to get out of the vehicle to use it. So,
did you ever ride up in the turret?
It's not really Staff Sergeant preview to ride up in the turret. So the only time I only rode in the turret once, but it wasn't a Humvee. It was one of the armored 5 tons. So I manned a 50 cal when we pulled out and went back to the rear when we were leaving, rotating back out. I manned a 50 cal for that, but that was just kind of like.
Did you get to shoot it?
Nah, there wasn't anything going on. They weren't going to come after us at that point.
Did you ever shoot the Sasser in combat?
Yeah, twice.
Like,
and when I say twice, in 2 different theaters, Mogadishu and.
Were we allowed to shoot people with us?
Yes, it's a common misnomer when people say you hear it a lot of times where they're like, it's against the Geneva Convention to shoot somebody with a 50 cal. That's not true. I don't know why they used to always say that, because they would be like, oh, we're not shooting personnel, we're shooting their canteens or whatever. But it's not true. You can shoot, you can literally shoot someone on the battlefield with any weapon system that we have in inventory. It's already legal because it's on the battlefield. So, for example, if you want to fire the M1 Abrams main gun at some dude running across the desert.
We saw that. We recently saw a video of that happening.
If you want to do that, that is perfectly legit. The Geneva Convention's not coming after you for firing a 120 millimeter smoothbore round at somebody. It's just not cost effective. So it's all about cost effective. Ideally, and I think it was probably a rumor that the military higher ups spread, because ideally you don't want your 50 cal gunner to be shooting at every dude that's running around out in front of you, because you got other guys with smaller weapon systems that can engage that target. You want that 50 cal hitting hard targets. So with the Barrett, like with the Barrett 50 cal the sniper used, you could shoot anybody you wanted.
Did you ever fire, or were you ever present when a 50 cal was fired, like at a helicopter?
No, never at a helicopter. I mean,
well, you guys weren't ever really against anybody with helicopters.
By the time we roll into town, the U.S. Air Force or the Marine Wing has shot down all that they have to offer in the sky.
So, first time you go to combat.
First time.
Or possibility of combat. What load carrying gear were you wearing?
The first time?
Yeah.
The first time was
that was not Vietnam. That was what? Grenada? Did you swim into Grenada?
You want to use
Grandpa
when you're swimming into Grenada. You want to use canvas.
They did, didn't they? We didn't even have the LBVs yet, huh?
When I first joined the Marine Corps, it's funny you should say that. They were still issuing gear from the Vietnam War. So when I went to Somalia, we had gear from Vietnam.
When's the first time you used SOE gear?
It would have probably been 94, I think, when I went back to the platoon.
Were you allowed to, or did you guys just kind of do it once over?
I kind of just did what I did.
That's how all those kids were.
I kind of just did what I wanted. I mean, it basically was like this. And this is the only reason why anybody ever got in trouble. Like when people would be like, they won't let me wear that. Is you have to.
Masses?
Well, yeah, you have to pick your fights. If you're going out in the field, like if you are going out in the field to do field ops, they don't care. If you're
parade,
yeah,
inspection.
if you're doing a road march with the company, where you gotta do a 10-mile road march with the company, and you put on all your fucking ninja sniper gear, they're gonna be like, yeah, you don't look like everybody else, dumbass. You can never wear that again. So for the most part, I never had anybody. I only had one time where a guy got in trouble. He didn't get really in trouble. He just got yelled at, and then it was never said again. So we went over to. We were going to Kuwait, and I shenagled. So at that time we were still using M16A2s, and I got handguards. I got extra handguards for every single one of everybody in my platoon's rifles. And we had a guy.
Did they at one time belong to the Navy?
I don't know who they belong to.
There can't statute of limitations is so far up on that shit.
So I was able to get extra handguards for the 203, for the M203 gunners and our M16s. And there was a guy in Fallbrook that was in the early years. It was I don't even think it was. It could not have been Cerakote, but it was in the early years of when people were starting to paint guns outside of a military, idea. So I had all the handguards. I had 3-color desert painted on handguards, and then woodland painted on handguards. And when we got to Kuwait, I just gave everybody these handguards, and I'm like, just switch them out, leave your other ones back in the tent. And one of the guys got chewed out when he went to the chow hall about you can't modify Marine Corps gear, blah, blah. And, you know, he handled it pretty well, but I'm like, you could have destroyed that guy in so many ways. First off, you didn't modify Marine Corps. You didn't modify the gear because you still have the original handguard so he can suck a dick. And so there was it's just how you handle it. But nobody told us we couldn't. I mean, we were even moving around within the company, and they would just be like, "Oh, that's snipers." I think maybe the CO said something about it, like, "Staff Sergeant, what's up with those rifles?" And I'm like, "Don't worry, sir. We didn't modify. We still have the other handguards. Those are extra." Yeah, you didn't. And so usually, I'm not saying all the time, but once you can explain to a commander that, hey, first off, this gear was not destroyed in any way, and second, when we're done with this, it's going to look exactly the way it was before. Usually they won't
just be like, we're not even going to clean these before they go to armory.
They won't be upset. I knew a guy once. I knew a guy that he was in Force Recon, and every time they did an inspection, a rifle inspection, instead of cleaning it was clean, but instead of cleaning it, he would just spray paint it black.
Holy shit!
And he did that a couple of times, and they would always be like, "Oh my god, your gun looks so new."
Holy fuck!
So, anyways,
all right, I'll pick a piece out of my bag.
Piece out of your bag. See what you got in your bag.
Let's talk. Here's one that you actually probably carried at some point. Let's talk about
subload.
Let's talk about, this is a patrol sub. No, this is a Rallyman subload.
Rallyman subload.
We make a patrol subload and a CQB subload. Those were the only ones we made. The Rallyman is relatively new in the history, even though it's at 10 years old now. Subloads. Where did you see? Did you ever use a subload? Because the snipers bought a fucking ton of subloads.
Maybe I probably used a subload for about 15 minutes. I don't like anything down there low on, because no matter what, you know, back in those days, whatever because even all the pistol holsters in those days were drop leg holsters.
Yeah.
So you had a pistol that
and you
was
almost
down
had
here,
to have this to counter and
then you had this thing over here, and it just, for me, it was too much waddly down there. So like, for the most part, John made me a rig that holds 17 M16 magazines, and that's really what I carried most of the time. But a lot of guys used, like the individual who was just here, he used a subload the last time I was in Iraq. The whole time, that's where he carried all his mags. He liked it. It's just weird having that weight moving around on your leg like that.
Who was that?
Johnson. Master Sergeant Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Master Sergeant Johnson.
Right on.
1-7.
So, our subloads, this particular one will hold 6 M4 mags. These are our Rallyman pouches. Our patrol pouches are very much like the Rallymans, other than we basically took a patrol and made the lid Velcro adjustable in the back, so you can adjust the actual height of the lid so that it still closes in the front. Now, almost all of our original mag pouches were Velcro and Fastex, with the idea that you had security and noise discipline with the Fastex buckle for like swimming in or whatever. Once in area of operation, you could undo that and tuck this down under the bottom, and now for speed of extraction, you're just ripping Velcro. And there was always some assholes like, well, they're going to hear the Velcro. Well, motherfucker, if you just dump 30 rounds of anything, they already probably know you're there. So, rifle mags, and then on the sides, we put pistol mags, which also happen to hold multi-tool, Leatherman, 550 cord, Surefire light, monocular, whatever you want to put in there. Now, some of the dudes, they had Pelican boxes that fit in here perfectly, and they'd carry like SEER gear and survival kit, evasion stuff. All of these subloads, now not all of them now, but all of the original subloads, the patrol subloads, CQB subload, our dual rifle subloads, they have a hanger. It's a detachable, so you can actually unclip this thing and leave that hanger in position on your belt, and then when you need it, you can just clip it in. So cops coming out of cars, active shooter back in the day, whatever it was. And then there was 2 leg straps. You could run one or both leg straps. And our leg straps are sewn so the elastic is towards the back of the leg. Why did we do that when everybody else was running the elastic at the front? They did that because it was easier to sew it together. It was way less manufacturing. All they did is run that piece of elastic through a buckle and then sew the elastic to the webbing. Well, those were failure points. Also, they were at the front of the leg, so they would catch a lot of abrasion and shit. When I designed them and built them, I built them with the elastic towards the back of the leg because that's where it's going to catch the least amount of damage. We also took our elastic and sewed 2 independent layers in so that if somehow you did cut or damage the top layer, you still had a secondary layer underneath it so that it was functional. And then the leg straps are also removable so that we can repair them in the future should we ever had to. And it also allowed us to swap them left to right. So you could use this left or right leg, whereas a lot of the other companies, you just got what they made and you made it work. I guess that's about it. The mag pouches, and these are the Rallyman Patrol CQB mag pouches, the original mag pouches we made, which we still make on some stuff to this day, have 9 layers of material on the bottom where the mags touch bottom, where they're sewn together on the sides the way we've not quilted them, but folded them and sandwiched them together. There's 5 lines of stitching on the side. And the original pouches, from the top of the lid, down the back, underneath, up the front, and the sides, was all one continuous piece of material. Where we saw failure points on a lot of the original competitor gear being the only guys that were really around back then, was Eagle, Blackhawk, London Bridge, and then you had some body armor companies here and there. You had some little companies that we really didn't, see. They weren't, that shit wasn't being issued. There was Survival Assault Systems made some cool rigs that had like extraction harnesses and shit in them. But back in, back before us, back 80s, early 80s and shit, kind of like SAS type shit. We saw what they were doing when they came out with their vests, like Eagle and Blackhawk and stuff had those mesh vests, They were sewing pockets on, and the pockets, basically they'd sew down the sides, sew the bottom, pleat the bottom, and the back of the pocket was a separate piece. And we would see those things come apart, or more importantly, you would eventually see mags wear a hole through them. So we didn't do a pleated pocket on the bottom like our pistol mags are. That's kind of what we're talking about. They were doing that with rifle mags. You still see it in a lot of shit. We actually boxed our pockets. And where the mags hit, you've got 9 layers of material on the bottom. Where we sew these pockets together on the side, you have 5 layers of material on the sides. And then when we sewed them together, we'd sew them together with 5 lines of stitching. And then when we put them on a rig, we would sew another 5 lines of stitching in them. So inevitably, at a gun show or something, you'd have some kids. We were a military town, so you'd have Marines walk up, or whoever they were, and they'd be like, how much is this? You tell them, and it's considerably more expensive than competitor gear. Back then, it really wasn't that much more expensive. We thought we had to be lower priced to, compete. So they'd come up and they're like, well, why is this so expensive? And we'd hand them one of these mag pouches, just any mag, and we didn't have like gun show mag pouches for samples. Like, we would hand them product off the table and go, and we picked the 2 biggest dudes. Like, you guys pull this apart. If you rip this apart, we will give you a free shirt. We will give you a free piece of gear. And they never could rip it apart. I'm like, put your foot in the mag pouch, hold the lid, and try to rip it apart that way. And they never could. I'm like, now go down to, whoever Boo-Boo down the way, go to his booth and do the same thing. Because you're going to rip their shit apart. And they wouldn't even let you do it. So that's the subload. As far as, I had something else I was going to say. I forgot. Okay, you go. Your turn.
Something to think about when you're looking at gear nowadays, or when you're looking at what's out there. Remember that there is a reason for almost everything that you don't know. You don't know the reason. Okay, so there's a lot of changes. There's a lot of changes in how gear is manufactured right now. Mayflower and First Spear, and they make great gear. But what you're not privy to is what those guys are doing is they're making gear for, well, I don't want to say they're making, that's all they're making, but they're making gear for ninjas. Okay, now that sounds cool, because it is cool. Oh, wait a minute, it's fucking Dev Group 7 using this fucking gear. That's awesome. But the thing you don't understand about that gear is, ultimately the big thing is weight. We want to lighten everything up. We want to lighten everything up. Well, they have disposable income. So what they did is they make those guys gear that is also disposable. They're not using that. It's not like the old days. They're not putting on an LBV and that's for the next 4 years. That's the LBV they're going to wear. They're literally throwing that. They're literally going on a mission, coming back. I can get new stuff. They're literally doing that now. So think about that when you're looking at your gear. John's stuff is pretty bulletproof. Like I said, he made me a rig. Well, fucking 1993. That's got to be.
Yeah.
What was that? 20 plus years. And that I brought it in here a couple of times. It just gets kicked around in the corner. But that rig is still, there's not a fucking stitch missing out of it, nothing. And I wore that motherfucker all over the place, doing real stuff. So for the lifetime, that motherfucker's worth more. That is worth more than say if I was to get, the same, something similar from First Spear. Yeah, it's gonna work. It's gonna look nice, and it's gonna be badass. For how long? I don't know. Because
you're seeing a lot of guys.
It's all about lightweight,
thin material. Everything's laser cut now, so that you don't have to sew all the extra webbing because the webbing was more expensive, and a lot of it is ease of manufacturing. Can we switch over to laser? Of course we can. But long run, like we have gear out there that's 20 and 30 years old. At this point, do we need to do it? Is it overkill? That's always what our competitors said. Yeah, that's awesome shit, but it's overkill. They don't need that. So we don't ever repair any of our shit. And then you got on the other hand, you have a bunch of other gear guys building shit you've never heard of, or every day we find it. I get tagged on, hey, this guy copied your shit or whatever. Whatever. I appreciate you guys looking out. We don't really blast those dudes in public or make them known, because that would just drive attention to them. Like that would get them, that's free advertising for them. But a lot of those dudes, they don't know why they're doing shit. A lot of guys will tag me and shit, guys, like they'll be like, hey, this dude's making your EDC belt. This dude's making your low profile belt. When you look at it, it's shit. Like they have no yes, it looks like ours. Yes, they sewed 2 pieces of base material together. Yes, they sewed a piece of 1 inch on top. But they don't know shit about why they're sewing it. Like you literally see it come up to the buckle and then down and then single lined. If you took that and ripped on it really hard, you'd be able to rip it. They don't know leading edge. They don't know backup edge. They don't know 3 lines of stitching. They don't know the diamond dispersion stitches. They don't know any of that shit. They're like, hey, this guy's selling $65 belts. Can you make this, honey? And their wife is sewing that shit. There's some dudes making some neat shit, but we're doing different shit than what they're doing, and there's a reason we're doing that. That's all I got right now. What's your next piece of gear?
It's funny. My next piece of gear is... Oh.
Of the same fucking subload I have right here?
Well, no, this is a... CQB? I believe this is either a Patrol or a CQB.
That's a...
You gotta get your fist in it.
Yeah, if my hand will fit in it, it is a Patrol. This is actually a Patrol subload.
Yeah.
So you guys know, the first one we made was the CQB subload, or CQB pouch, or CQB whatever. CQB Vets had 4 CQB pouches. The CQB pouch holds 2 M16 mags. AR-15 mags nowadays called M4 mags. It also, as a byproduct, fits 3 single-stick MP5 mags. It'll also perfectly hold a pair of clamped with an HK clamp MP5 mags. It will also hold a full-size military smoke grenade. Or we have a product called a 12-gauge pull-out tray, which holds 8 rounds on each side, and it's a piece of stiff scuba webbing with 8 rounds of buckshot. So it's a 16-round shotgun tray that goes in here. And we have a tether on it, and you 550 it through this grommet and tie a knot, so you can pull it out and reload your shotgun and push it back in. And if you don't have time once you've reloaded, because you're not going to put 16 rounds in your shotgun, it is tethered, and you have not lost that other ammo, and you can get back in the fight or take cover, whatever you're doing. The Patrol pocket holds 3 M4 mags, and as a byproduct will also hold 2 M14 G3 or FAL mags. Now the pocket's a little deep, so what we were doing is you take 2 pieces of isomat or foam and put them under the mags, We actually like to see dudes put on, they called them do-rags or drive-on rags, you know, the little bandage thing. Put bandages in there to bump your mags up so you had something usable should you need that. Because, like, when we started doing this shit, there was not a gunshot wound kit. Like the SEALs were carrying GSW kits that were basically vacuum packed in our 500 IV pouch. We made these pouches that held a 500 bag of ringer and this fucking vacuum packed stuff. And there wasn't even a tourniquet back then. It was literally like fucking water weenie. You know, it was surgical tubing. So there was no real gunshot. They called it a gunshot wound kit, but it was not laid out like a improved first aid kit is nowadays. So to have extra bandages and shit in there to bump your mags up was always nice. And then so that was it. So nobody was like AKs. Dudes in the United States didn't fucking give a shit about AKs. They weren't running for thousands of dollars because you couldn't hang cool shit on them. So gun show market, civilian market, while you saw them on magazines and shit, you were not walking into gun shops and seeing tons of fucking AKs like you do now. It was all fucking black guns, cool fucking, you know, Daewoo's and shit. Yeah. And a lot of HK stuff. So that was really it. But to make those work for AKs, we did the Rallyman pouch, which is basically a cut lid that Velcros in the back so that you can adjust it higher. So that will do 2 .308 mags, 3 .556 mags, or 2 AK mags. And that's it. I guess I gotta pick one then.
You gotta pick one. We gotta get into your bag of charcuterie.
My bag of what?
Charcuterie.
Here, I got one for you.
Oh shit.
Do you even know what this is?
Well, I know what it is. The people that are listening on the podcast have no idea what it is. It looks like a pair of gaiters.
It is a draw. It has drawstring on both sides. It is to hold plastic grocery bags. Which I don't even know if that's usable anymore. Aren't grocery bags banned all through the United States?
Well, a lot of places, but they're not here. You still get.
So we had
grocery bags.
We had a crazy chick working for us. She was really, really good at upholstery. And she kind of went crazy, and she's no longer with us. She had some personal things. One day she might be back. Who knows? But she built this thing, and she built it we can't produce it the way she has it built. And I didn't want to take it and make it buildable because it would have fucking hurt her feelings. Like you took my idea and just changed it all around. Like I would give her something to build and she would build an amazing product, but it was so intricate. It was like, it's like I need a cardboard box, but instead of fucking like taking, 6 sides of square cardboard and putting them together and making a box, she would cut down a tree and fucking kiln the tree and then hollow the tree out and make a forged, you'd machine a box instead of fucking welding a box together. That's always how she was. So, I don't know, we'll probably eventually, like every time dudes saw these things, they always fucking wanted them. Maybe we'll build one of them. Alright, what you got?
I got this.
So, this is the 6x9 admin pouch. We made some stuff for SEAL Team 7, SEAL Team 7, SEAL Team 6. So those guys were all through Ramadi. There's a lot of stories. There's some movies and shit about those guys and that platoon and the sister platoon. When they came back, my boy Cowie and Sorelli and a few other dudes. That's who we designed the NSW chest rig and the bolt bag with. Off of, not really designed, but like, hey, I need these things, and that's kind of how it came about. But we made the NSW chest rig originally to hold. We had a 6x. The NSW admin is like 6x6, where this is 6x9, and it's got a drawbridge in here, so it'll come down level, and you can put a piece of Kydex in here. And the NSW one actually has Velcro, and they were using a Garmin 76 GPS that would Velcro in place. And then it had the clear card in the middle so they could put, you know, their data sheets or frequency charts or whatever they had in there. And then there's 2 pieces of elastic here so that you could carry something skinny like a mini mag back then, or fatter, and you could carry a Surefire light in there. And then it's got places for pins and other papers and stuff, and elastic for multi-tool folding knife, you know, whatever you want to put in there. But we had a dude, I don't even know how we ended up with that dude. Dude on one of our posts or something, or contacted us somehow, and he wanted it fatter. I think he was an Army dude doing close air support fact stuff. So he wanted one that was 6x9. So we built it, and that's how the 6x9 came about. We basically just changed the NSW one. But that's that. It's more, it's admin. You can put cool shit in there, whatever.
You'd be amazed at how, you know, once you put on all your fighting stuff, you got all your fighting stuff on, and you're ready to go, and you're at the line of departure, and suddenly you need a pen
Or a Sharpie.
or a piece of paper. You never have enough admin stuff with you to do that admin stuff when it's needed.
For sure.
Especially as you get up in rank. You know, your platoon sergeant's always responsible for having all the kill cards and all that other stuff, and where are you going to put that? In your magazine pouch? So they're pretty handy.
Let's go with
we're gonna go with a patch.
let's go with this patch.
What's this patch?
This patch will probably be backwards to you guys. I don't know if you guys can even fucking see that in this shitty light.
That's a good one. It's a good patch.
What's it say?
Go fart on a dick.
Had you ever heard that before?
Not until I got here.
I'd never heard it ever either.
It's awesome.
I've seen a few people post that, like talking shit. But I think that it came from there. I'd never heard it. We had a dude on one of our YouTube videos show up always talking like crazy gay shit about Colin. Like infatuated in love with Colin. We don't know who the dude was. Placed an order. We canceled his order. Dude went kind of crazy. We eventually found the dude. He was in New York. It's this Greek dude. And he commented over and over, like pretty crazy shit, like making threats towards Amanda and all kinds of stuff. So in one of his emails, he's like, "You can go fart on a dick." So we laughed about it. Haha, we should make a patch. Well, we made a patch that said "Go fart on a dick." And every time we build a patch, we do 1,000 pieces to get my price point where I want them at. So these patches, I don't know what you guys know about patches. Everybody and their brother wants to be a fucking patch guy. There's so many fucking patches out there. And if you'd have told me we could sell patches for $10 a piece 20 years ago, I'd have said you've lost your fucking mind. But we see guys selling patches, brand new patches, new designs right out the gate,
worth more than
20, 25, and then secondary market, you see patches going $100. It's fucking nuts. So we built this patch, and we sold them for $10 a piece. And we sold 1,000 of them. We are on our 4th run of these fucking things. What that means is, I don't know if we have all 1,000 of them right now, but that means we have sold
it's low
3,000 patches. That's $30,000 in a fucking patch that says "Go fart on a dick," and it's an ass blowing like imaginary, fucking gas on a penis. And that's that patch. It's fucking crazy. Somebody being an asshole. And we were able to take that and just flip it and make $30,000 off of it. So thank you, fucking what?
Fart
Nick,
on a
I
dick
thought his
guy?
name was Nick. Nick in New York.
Fart on a dick guy.
Fart on a dick guy.
What else do I have in here? Let's see. There you go.
Small utility pocket. So the small utility pocket. This came from our LBVs, and we put typically. Shooter's right-handed, so we put a dual pistol mag here sewn in place, and we put this as a utility pocket on the right upper chest above the mag pouches. And what this was, you could put 3 high cap 9mm Beretta back then SIG 226 in here and use them to replace your mains or for extra ammo. You could also put 7 power bars in here. You could put a blood stopper dressing, which is what they literally said, blood stopper dressing on the original packaging. And a lensatic compass would go inside here. And that's really what that thing was designed for. Fast forward nowadays, guys want to carry, whatever they want to carry of this size, and we've put it with pals on the back so you can, attach it wherever you want it. But this is also made in a box style pouch, just like our mag pouches. 9 layers of material, 5 layers of material on the side, back, top, lid, front, sides, all one piece of material, and then we take another piece, sandwich it, and then we fold it and do the whole deal with it. And then almost all of our pull tabs, which is way fucking overkill. It takes as long to sew the Velcro on as it does to build half the damn pouch. Has Velcro. So you can adjust this thing all the way out or all the way in. And once it's there, you've got that Velcro, and it just keeps everything right in place in addition to the tension and friction of the buckle. All right, how about this? We just built these. We have these available right now. We ran them probably, how long has Tyler not been here? 2 years now? Probably 2 years ago we made this bag, kind of as a joke. This is the BBD bag, and it's Velcro. It's just an awesome EDC bag. You can use it, load it out for medical. You can load it out for guns. It's fucking cool. Velcro for patches, pals all over, so you can attach whatever extra shit you want. Be a good vehicle EDC kit. You can do all kinds of shit with it. iPad will fit in here if you use our iPad sleeve. And it was just called the BBD bag, and that stood for Big Black Dildo, or Big Black Dick, because we had this huge, it's still out there somewhere, we had this huge, there's a video of this as a matter of fact.
At the gas station.
When you watch this podcast video, a couple days or a few days after the actual audio podcast goes up, we'll put a link into it, and it's pretty funny, fucking around with all the guys and just talking about what they're going to use the pouch for. Any input on there? Anything else? How do you have yours loaded?
Well, mine is, what I did is our mesh pocket.
We built this to fit the mesh pockets.
The mesh pocket will fit right in between, and so I do a light, magazines on one side, and then in the mesh pocket I have medical stuff, and then on the other side I have my gun. So that I'm just carrying that around, and I usually don't leave it at pizza places, but when I do, they're very gracious and hold on to it for me and give it back to me as soon as I make the emergency run back to pizza place.
So the wall in this will fit a large mesh pocket or 2 small mesh pockets. Yeah. The actual wall front and back is about the size of our tool bag. So Jeff has his loaded out. It'll fit 4 M4 mags on one wall perfectly in the 4 mag Velcro backed rifle mag card. And then he uses a Velcro adjustable holster on the opposite wall
for the pistol.
And dual pistol mags sit in there.
And when I use it, I'm actually not using a Velcro mesh pocket. I'm using a Pal's mesh pocket
in the middle.
So, in the middle, so it's not attached. And then what that does is it's enough to separate your guns and your mags, so they're not banging around when you're carrying this around town, going to pizza joints.
And I think you can see pictures of Jeff's bag all loaded out on the website, I think.
Yeah, probably I bet the pizza place too. What was the name of the pizza place? California Pizza Company?
No. What was Rock'n'Dough?
Rock'n'Dough. They probably have some pictures up on their website of it all laid out, and of my checkbook and everything.
From when you lost it? We had to drive all the way. We drove an hour back to get that fucking thing. How about? Oh, that's your turn. You go.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I just did that. I pulled the BBD bag.
Here we go. How about this? Boom. Look at that.
Medical insert tray.
Medical insert tray. I should have loaded it up.
Medical insert tray. So it's semi-rigid in that we have plastic sewn inside here. Red handle to denote medical. It's always funny when dudes are like, that red's going to get you shot. You got a lot bigger problems if you're carrying a fucking bunch of mags around and shit and you're worried that they're going to see that red shit. So this holds medical shit. It'll hold more or it'll hold less. It is made to go into a rifle mag pouch. Can you put it in a mag pouch that holds a single mag? Yeah, but you can't put really shit on there. So you don't have enough shit with you. You might as well carry your shit in your cargo pocket at that point. It's made to go into a mag pouch that holds 2 M4 mags. And then you load all your stuff in here, and it'll fit any place that 2 mags will go. And then the lid just goes through there. You unclip it, and then you rip it out. Or you can, hide it all in there if you want to. It will also fit any place 3 rifle mags will fit. And then you can put bulkier, instead of a 4-inch Izzy, you can put a 6-inch, or you could put more shit in the bands on top of that. It has extra elastic little slots sewn here. And what the intention of that, Eli Miller and I worked this thing out. Eli came and said, we need A, B, C, D. And Eli's great with that shit. He'll have a bunch of use, but we'll build it out. And I'm like, we can't produce these or it's too bulky. So this is what it ended up as. And it's for a 14 gauge needle for tension pneumothorax, an NPA, and then a 6-inch dressing, and then a H-gauze and a quick clot is originally what this was built for. And then preferably you're going to throw a TQ in there on top of that shit, or a lot of times the mag pouch will have pals, so we were just rubber banding tourniquets to the outside of the pouch at that point. But that's what this is. We build these literally every single week. We ship, still to this day, we're shipping, hundreds of these things every couple weeks. These things were built on twice this week. We've built them in Coyote and Black, and then today OD was built again. Like I'll bet we have over 100 in inventory right now. So you order one of these, as soon as you hear this, that thing will ship to you Monday morning. All right. So here is what I have.
You can put your cleaning kit in here too and put it in a mag pouch.
You could take this whole thing, load it up with your medical or whatever, and fit it in a cargo pocket as well on a BDU. All right.
Oh, a
toiletry bag.
Toiletry bag.
Why do they call them DOP kits?
I don't know. It's an abbreviation for something dumb.
So what else recently we've had tons of dudes posting photos of
ammo you can put.
We've been building probably fucking 300-400 of these things a week.
1,000 rounds of 9mm, no problem.
I heard it was 1,500.
It probably is 1,500. I mean,
1,500 rounds of 9mm.
Yeah.
Makeup kit.
Yeah, makeup kit.
Art kit. All your kids' art shit. All your kids' Legos. All your kids' crayons, colored pencils. Recently, we've been using bands for warm up and some rehabilitation stuff at the gym. So I've got I don't know. I have
all the bands,
couple $100 worth of fucking bands in one of them. Car kit. You could probably put 10 pairs of socks and some underwear rolled up tightly in those for travel. If you get on the Special Operations Equipment Facebook page, you will see all the photos dudes are posting of these. They are fucking tons and tons. We're building, like we just built them today, man. We just built Tiffany today, Purple last night, ATAX Ghost got built today. We got bunches of them. What else you got?
I think, are we already at the last item? This what I'm pulling out right now is like the Holy Grail. It's like when all this shit was cool. When all this shit was cool, and back when I actually carried one for realsies, I'm like, John, you got to make me one of those. And he's like, I'm gonna make you one of those. He still hasn't made it.
For your grease gun when you were in World War I?
Yes, for the grease gun.
You don't even want that for you want a fucking pink threaded one.
Well, because now, I mean, I'm not running around like TJ Hooker with my MP5 anymore.
Did you really have an MP5?
Well, yeah. When I was at SOTG, that's
you had MP5s.
That we still had the
Ks.
No Ks. All we had was navies. So we had the.
Is that the 2-round burst ones?
No, I don't understand how they do it because it was still full auto. I think it was more.
I thought it was
the attachments.
I thought it was safe, semi. I thought they had 4 positions on them.
Some of them did. But ours didn't. The Navy versions.
So did you have fixed stock or folding retractable stocks?
That folding stock
the
that was
stock.
The collapsible stock that was just like the grease gun stock, and the plastic in the stock would break all the time. And then we had. I want to say we probably had like 2 SDs, and that's it. But all the Navy guns came with suppressors. But even at that time, they never ran suppressors. At the end of my life cycle at SOTG, they started like, hey, why aren't we using these suppressors? And so they started buying them the heavy ammunition to run through those suppressors.
Doesn't the SD had to shoot a different bullet, right?
No, the SD could shoot anything. So the SD could shoot anything.
I thought because it was internally ported, it had to run. I thought it had to have a different. I thought it couldn't shoot 115 grain like all the normal ball.
Maybe it's been that's been 20 years too. But I just know that if you wanted the Navy suppressor to be even close, you had to get to 147 grains.
You had to slow it down. That's what it
you had to
was.
slow it down.
So you had to, if I remember right, you had to run the high power ammo, the subgun ammo in the SD, because if you ran subsonic, it wouldn't cycle the gun.
That's probably it. I just remember it was the big fucking deal about getting the ammo. And
so the subgun micro, we actually have them out there. We've got OD Green available right now, and we have Highlander available right now. 4 mags. We built it to hold. It'll hold MP5 mags. It'll hold your 30 round Glock mags for all your little Marlin and all the Kel-Tec subguns and shit. And then it's got a 6x6. Well, it's about 6.5, probably closer to 7x7 utility pocket. Same utility pocket that's on all the other micro rigs, on the standard micro rigs.
Which I would just get rid of that pocket and just make these mags go all the way across.
Well, we used to. We built a bunch of it. Everybody did. Eagle had just a patrol bandolier that had 4 rifle mags on it and then pistols to the sides, and then they had the subgun ones. That was the coolest shit ever.
But great rigs. It'll hold all kinds of different mags.
It will not hold. What subguns will it not hold?
It will not. I do not believe that it will hold the CZ magazines.
There's a couple others that it wouldn't hold recently too. Like it definitely won't hold the. It'll hold MP7 mags, like real MP7 mags, but it will not hold P90 mags. We make a rig.
Yeah, definitely not P90.
We make a rig for it's called the Chris P90 subgun rig, and it holds the fatter wide body mags. We probably ought to redo that so that it'll work with all of them. But if we do, it's going to have to make the footprint bigger, or it's going to lose one of the mags. All right.
Oh, what do you got there?
Lifting straps.
Some lifting straps.
So you guys might or might not know, we make lifting straps. We can make them, for wrapping around your wrists and then wrapping around dumbbells or bars and pull, right? If you don't know what this is, then you're not going to the gym probably.
Go to the gym. And then you can use your lifting straps.
We build these in most colors, most camo prints, and then we build them with whatever thread color you want in them. So we will customize them for you. It's on the website under lifting straps, or if you search gym, the top right corner of all of our pages on our website has a search function. You will find these. If there's a color you want, just send a note, send an email, whatever, and ask us about it, and we'll tell you whether we can do it or not. Is that all you got? Is that it?
That's it. That's 6.
All right, last.
That's 12.
Last.
Oh.
I have this.
Can you see this? How long have you had this?
How long?
I'm trying to put it on the screen. Can you see that?
The gold foil Versace Velcro patches. We made those 6-7 years ago, probably. It was Ben Thomas that started saying that John Willis is like the Versace of Velcro. He's a fucking artist, not a he's like an artist. Like, he kind of works when he wants to work, and everything has to be fucking
Which
perfect,
is all the
or you'll
fucking
never
time.
see
That's
it.
kind of a stupid, Ben. That's kind of stupid.
But
he's always working.
Ben came up with that. People kept saying it, and finally it was a patch. I thought I had a lot more to say about it, but I mean,
I will say that about this patch, the Versace, the Velcro Versace there. Boy, man, you had a fucking head of hair. Look at that. That is a beautiful mane that this man has on his head. This beautiful mane of hair. It's true though. I mean, as long as I've known John, it's always like the beautiful thing about this is really what sold me on SOE way back in the day. Is you could just kind of describe something to John. You could be like, okay, I want this thing that holds this pouch over here, and I have this obscure flashlight that nobody has seen in 60 years that I need over here, and then I want to hold 42 magazines. And he would be like, okay, what if it was only 40? And he would figure out a way to make it happen so you could carry all that shit. I mean, it pretty amazing. And he is just like Mick. It's more of a kind of an artistry of thinking about how do you do that? How can I make this piece of thing? And it's not, I don't know. It's not like John doesn't lay patterns out. He's not laying a pattern out and going, okay, we're going to make this tracksuit. He figures it out on his head, and then he's just there with the cutting it out and fucking making it happen. So I would say that. I would say the patch is pretty true.
You said like Mick.
I was thinking of Mick Strider.
Tell him.
God, am I gonna get in trouble?
No, you're not.
Like Mick Strider, he is definitely
can work in any medium.
Is
anything.
definitely an artist. He is definitely an artist. Meaning, when I say artist, I'm talking about Vincent Van Gogh type because
I'd say more Da Vinci. He's
self-deprecating. He would probably cut his ears off and mail them to somebody if he thought it would do. But he can literally take anything and just figure out how to turn it into an art form. Like
he can take a bunch of nothing.
He's doing knives. Obviously, if you go and look around for mixed knives, you'll see that he makes some crazy ass knives.
No, but he makes his own metal.
Yeah, he makes his own. You know, when you get a Mick Strider Damascus knife, he fucking cut every piece of that metal and hammer forged that stuff to make the Damascus. So he really puts the effort in on the knives. But, forget about the knives. Like, one day he just decides, and it was just like this, I'm going to make a motorcycle. What? He's like, yeah, I'm going to make a motorcycle. And he fucking made, and I'm not talking about, like...
Bought some parts.
He was like, okay, let me see. Oh, is that a lantern from a 1932 fucking steamship? I'm buying it. I'm going to figure out how to use it. I mean, some of the stuff he did on his bike, I'm sure a lot of it is searchable, but some of the stuff he did on his bike was just amazing that he was even like...
I think he's on a... I think
he might, yeah, he might have been on a... Yeah, he might be. But some of the stuff, like the fucking glass fuel... Just some of the way he was doing it, it's like, is that even going to work? He'd be like, well, I want to find out. So, he does some crazy shit. When he is in his creative mode, he will make, like, I have one. There was two made, but he made this, some dude in the Air Force was like, okay, I'm in my plane that's crashed in the woods, and I need to get into the back of the plane, but I can't go in through a door. He made this fucking can opener, this working can opener, this hand thing that just, it's awesome. But it's this can opener that's specifically made to cut through an airframe. That if you saw somebody, if you saw a Star Wars character or Star Trek, Wrath of Khan, if you saw Khan running around with this thing, you'd be like, yeah, that's exactly what he's supposed to be holding right there. He creates some crazy, crazy shit all the time. Like the first time he made, what the hell was that?
What about that fucking like axe hammer thing? With
he made this
claws and the bird beak. And
he made this hatchet. He made this. It wasn't really a hatchet.
It was like an ice climbing.
So somebody came to him and they wanted to be able to cut. They wanted to be able to cut electrical wire while it was still hot, and so he designed this thing. The fucking handle was made out of. I want to say it was Delron or something, but it was so. But he designed this thing, and like the first time, I think I just got back from my first Iraq pump, and he's like, "Hey, I want to show you this thing," and I'm like, "Okay." And he goes out in the parking lot to a damn, what do they call those things that stop the cars?
I don't fucking know.
The concrete,
the road spike, K-pillars.
He goes out to the fucking concrete. And he is just fucking whacking this thing. And concrete's flying all over the place. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then he gets up. He's like, look, the head, it pivots a little bit. So it gives you extra. Oh, it was just fucking amazing. Like they would cut. It was just crazy. He'd cut people's car hoods up.
We did all that shit. Yeah. Like fucking, we were cutting anchor chain. And we chipped up all the
Yeah.
floors. We did so much with Strider knives. Showing how you could beat the fuck out of them. That they changed all the rules to all the West Coast gun shows. Like, they added, 2-3 paragraphs. Like, the 1-page rule thing to do the gun show became 2.5 pages because of the damage we were doing to shit at the fucking gun shows.
Awesome.
But people also don't know, all the original G10 handled Strider knives, they were all dovetailed. They were dovetailed and put together, and it was one piece. And then the knife was put inside and epoxied in. and then G10 pins were epoxied and hammered in place. And what that did is that fully encompassed the metal, so it was all non-conductive. You could cut through live wire with any of those original Strider knives that were G10 and not fucking touch any metal. It was all non-conductive. Like, a lot of people don't know. There's a ton of shit like that people have no idea.
Yeah, if you like Strider knives, don't like Strider knives, whatever, I don't care. But one of the things that you cannot deny, and it's very easily provable, is how Strider knives changed the knife industry. Just in materials used alone.
Still to this day.
Just the types of materials that are being used and stuff like that has totally changed the way people are making knives.
A lot of, like, the metal stuff's Dwayne, man. A lot of that.
Oh yeah, Dwayne is like a mad scientist when it comes to researching. He actually has a. He actually created. He will tell you he didn't create it, but he.
Yes, he did.
He brought it back to life. A material that NASA now uses because it's so fucking badass. So there's always something cutting edge and futuristic about what those guys are doing over there, and especially the knife material. The knife material world prior to Dwayne and Mick really hitting it hard was pretty limited of what people were making knives out of, and now
ATS 34 was cutting edge.
Now they're all copying Strider.
The mainstay, you had either 440 or 420, and all your cheap knives were 420, and the more expensive knife was 440.
Yeah, anyways, that's Strider.
Back when everybody wanted an Emerson knife because of the Rogue Warrior book.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Another one down.
All right. Have a good weekend. This video, for you guys that don't know, the podcast, we rip it off of the video and it goes up live on the podcast app, whatever app you're using. And then a few days later, we load the video part of it. So if you want to listen to podcast, you got it. You want to listen to video, you got it. If you listen to the podcast first and then watch the video, it'll probably mean something a little different to you because we have, product and just interaction, just body gesture and language and stuff. So, all right, have a safe weekend. It's Friday, and I got Saturday and Sunday, which will allow me to get ahead of Monday.